Yeah, that's a big one, and it's tough to do. With a lot of it is like having good parts and having good parts availability and people and having some of that infrastructure on site. But really.
From living on a friend's couch to owning a $15 million gold mine, Parker Schnabel's journey will shock you. By 24, he had already made $13 million in gold. Now he pays his workers more than doctors make in a year and drives cars worth more than most people's houses. But here's what Gold Rush cameras don't show you: the wild Vegas trips, the luxury vehicles, and the real reason his girlfriend left him. Let's get into the private world of TV's richest young star. Parker Schnabel didn't grow up like most kids. He was 5 years old the first time he operated heavy machinery. That happened at his grandfather's mine in Haines, Alaska. The place was called Big Nugget Mine, and it wasn't a playground. It was a real working gold mine, and Parker wasn't just there to watch. His grandfather, John Schnabel, believed in teaching by doing. So instead of toy trucks, Parker was learning how to handle real ones. He was sitting in the driver's seat of loaders and dozers, while most kids were still figuring out training wheels. That early experience shaped everything. Haines is a small town with about 1,700 people. It's surrounded by wilderness, and life there is tough. Winters are long, summers are short. If something breaks, you fix it yourself. Growing up in that environment meant Parker learned how to work hard, think fast, and stay focused. There wasn't much room for laziness. While other kids were playing video games, Parker was learning how to move dirt, manage crews, and understand the value of gold. By the time Parker was 16, things started to change. His grandfather's health was getting worse. John Schnabel was more than just family. He was a mentor and a legend in the mining world. When John passed away at 96 on March 18, 2016, the weight of the family business fell directly on Parker. He had already been helping run Big Nugget Mine, but now he was fully in charge. It was an emotional time. Losing his grandfather was hard enough. Taking over the entire operation at such a young age made it even harder. But Parker didn't back down. He took control and made sure the mine stayed alive. Then came a decision that surprised everyone. Instead of going to college, Parker took his entire college fund, $663,000, and used it to buy mining equipment. It wasn't a guess. It was a calculated move. He believed in what he was doing, and he was willing to bet everything on it. That money helped him expand his operations, improve efficiency, and mine more gold than ever before. It was a risk, but it worked. Over time, that investment turned into millions. Parker Schnabel was only 16 when he stepped in front of the cameras for the first time. He was young, quiet, and unknown. The producers of Gold Rush weren't sure he was the right fit. They had their doubts. A teenager leading a mining crew didn't sound like the kind of story that could carry a whole season. But then, they saw him in action. Parker had grown up on the Big Nugget Mine in Alaska. His grandfather, John Schnabel, had taught him everything from the time he could walk. He wasn't just a kid with a famous last name. He knew how to handle equipment. He could talk through strategy. He understood the risks. During his first audition, the crew watched him break down how to run a mine from top to bottom. No script, no coaching, just raw knowledge. It was more than most adults they'd seen. What really pushed things forward was how naturally he handled machines. At 16, he operated heavy equipment with steady hands. He knew what each piece did, how to use it, when to switch it out, and what could go wrong. He wasn't guessing. He was working. That kind of skill doesn't come from books. It comes from years in the dirt. The producers took a risk and signed him. That risk paid off. When he first signed on, Parker negotiated a $25,000 per episode deal. That number was surprising for someone so young. But he wasn't just filling screen time. He was leading real operations. He was making decisions that could cost or save millions. As the show grew and the audience followed his journey, Parker's value climbed fast. Eventually, he was making up to $100,000 per episode. Even with those numbers, Parker didn't start living like a celebrity. He didn't buy flashy cars or giant houses. He spent his money on the people around him. Hunting trips, travel with his crew. He once said he'd rather spend on memories than on stuff. That mindset made him different. He was grounded in a way that stood out in reality TV. The job wasn't easy. Filming each season of Gold Rush took months. That schedule included planning, filming, and editing. For Parker, it meant spending most of his time on camera, on-site, and under pressure. While most teenagers were focused on school or sports, Parker was leading full-scale mining operations in the middle of the Yukon. Parker Schnabel was still in his early 20s when he pulled off one of the most impressive gold hauls in modern mining. It happened in the Klondike, a place known for brutal weather, hard ground, and gold that's never easy to find. During one season, Parker and his crew managed to dig up 1,029 ounces of gold. That much gold was worth over $1.7 million at the time. For someone his age, it wasn't just a personal win, it changed how people saw him in the entire mining world. That haul didn't happen by chance. Parker had to plan every move. He was leading a full team, running wash plants, keeping machines working non-stop, and all of it under the tight clock of a short mining season. It was grueling, but he kept things running. That kind of pressure breaks a lot of people. Parker made it look like he belonged there. He didn't just survive, he dominated. What made the moment even more powerful was the timing. Most people his age were sitting in college lecture halls or trying to land their first job. Parker was out in the cold, pulling more than $1 million out of the ground. That 1,029-ounce haul wasn't just gold, it was proof that he understood the land, the risk, and the grind better than most people twice his age. This achievement became a turning point. It wasn't just big money, it made Parker a central figure on Gold Rush and showed that he wasn't just lucky, he was good. Viewers started to see him as more than a young guy with a shovel. He was becoming a serious player. That moment put him on a new path, and everything that came after started from that one season. Years later, Parker made a move that left even experienced miners stunned. He bought Dominion Creek for $15 million. At the time, he was only 28. Dominion was known for having massive potential, up to $200 million in gold still in the ground, but it also came with huge risks. To break even, Parker had to mine 10,000 ounces every season for 6 years. Missing that number would mean losing everything he poured into the deal. It didn't go smoothly. In the first 4 weeks, his team only managed to pull 135 ounces. Frozen ground slowed them down. Equipment started breaking. Everything that could go wrong seemed to hit them at once. Parker didn't fold. He changed strategy, brought in better machines, and even spent $540,000 on new water pumps that could move 76 gallons a minute to help with gold recovery. Every step was a gamble, but he kept pushing. That Dominion deal said a lot about him. He wasn't chasing fast wins. He was building something that could last. He saw past the short-term losses and trusted the long-term payoff. Most people would have backed off. Parker went all in, but the pressure didn't stop. By early 2025, the situation at Dominion Creek was rough. The numbers weren't coming in the way he'd hoped, and costs kept stacking up. So in February, right in the middle of the season, Parker made another move. He bought 2 more claims, Gold Run and Sulphur Creek, for $2.5 million. It was bold, risky, and it caught everyone off guard. These claims weren't random picks. They had history. Gold Run and Sulphur Creek had been mined for over 100 years, and even after all that time, they still held solid gold. Just 2 days into mining one of the cuts at Sulphur Creek, the crew pulled out 141.65 ounces. That was the kind of result they hadn't seen all season. Morale started to shift. This decision wasn't easy. Moving wash plants and machines across 25 miles of rugged terrain took serious effort. The crew was split. Some thought it was brilliant. Others worried Parker was digging himself deeper into debt. But he stayed clear-headed. He said he'd already embraced the debt and was ready to face whatever came next, whether it was congratulations or regret. The purchase turned into one of the most dramatic moments of Gold Rush Season 15. It showed Parker wasn't done taking risks. Even when things looked like they were falling apart, he didn't back off. He doubled down. That move reminded everyone watching that his success didn't come from playing it safe. It came from making hard calls and living with the outcome. None of this would be as impressive if Parker hadn't already done something most miners only dream of. By the time he turned 24, he had pulled over $13 million worth of gold out of the ground. That kind of number is rare. Most people at that age are starting careers. Parker was already running one. His path started at his grandfather's big nugget mine in Alaska. He learned young, and by 18, he made a huge decision. He took the money that was supposed to pay for college and used it to lease land from Tony Beats in the Klondike. That single move shaped his entire future. He started building his own team, running his own site, and learning everything about the job: geology, equipment, and leadership. He didn't spend his money the way most young millionaires might. No big houses, no sports cars. Instead, he poured it back into his operation. He bought better equipment, expanded to new ground, and focused on long-term growth. Every season, he tried to get better. That focus is what kept him ahead. Parker Schnabel was just 18 when he walked away from his family's big nugget mine in Alaska and headed for the Klondike. Instead of using his college fund to go to school, he used it to start a mining operation. The first person he turned to was Tony Beats. At the time, Tony was already a legend in the mining world. Parker needed ground to mine, and Tony had what he needed. They struck a deal, and it became Parker's first real move as an independent miner. But the deal came with a price. Tony saw that Parker was young and inexperienced, and he took full advantage. The royalty structure looked simple at first: 15% on the first 1,500 ounces. But every 1,500 ounces after that came with a 5% increase. By the time Parker hit 6,000 ounces, he was paying 25%. He didn't fully understand how bad the deal was until Season 8, when he had to stop mining right at 6,000 ounces just to avoid going broke. In Season 9, Parker made it clear how bad it had gotten. On 8,000 ounces, we give Tony Beats almost $2 million, he said. And frankly, I'd go broke doing that. When Parker tried to renegotiate, Tony didn't budge. That refusal pushed Parker to get creative. He came up with a plan to reset the royalty count. Every time his crew got close to the 1,500-ounce mark, they would switch wash plants. That way, Tony couldn't track the total in one straight line. It was a loophole, but it worked. Then came the moment that turned their quiet tension into an open war. In March 2017, during Season 8, Tony found out Parker had been moving dirt from another claim through Tony's ground to avoid higher royalty payments. Tony saw rock trucks sneaking through his yard and immediately shut everything down. He stormed into Parker's operation in front of the cameras and let loose. "All week, you have been sneaking through the yard with rock trucks," Tony yelled. "The contract states that while you're leasing the ground from us, that's the only material you're going to sluice." Parker didn't back down. He called Tony out for being greedy. "You'll get over $1 million this year. All you have to do is sit back and make money." When Tony said that wasn't enough, Parker snapped. "Then you can go yourself." That line turned their feud into one of the most explosive in Gold Rush history. Their relationship kept evolving, even as the rivalry grew. Back in Season 4, Tony had acted like a mentor. But by 2025, he saw Parker as a full-blown threat. During the Season 13 premiere, Tony leased Parker a section of his Indian River claim, but only the part he didn't want. It was a small sign of respect, but it was also strategic. Tony never praised Parker directly. In public, he mocked Parker's approach. On January 28, 2025, he said Parker was biting off more than he can chew, after seeing him try to run 3 wash plants at once. He also criticized Parker's focus on short-term goals, saying it would cost him later. And he wasn't entirely wrong. By early 2025, Parker was $2.5 million in debt just 9 weeks into the season while trying to get Dominion Creek off the ground. But in private, Tony saw what Parker was doing. Industry insiders say he told his son Kevin that Parker's gold recovery rates were something to learn from, not laugh at. Even Tony knew the kid was good. The story of Parker Schnabel and Todd Hoffman isn't just a rivalry. It's a full-on clash of ambition, pride, and completely different views on how to run a gold mine. It started with a deal that should have been simple, but turned into something that shaped the future of Gold Rush. At the height of the show's drama, Parker bought a wash plant from Todd. The price was 700 grams of gold, worth around $46,000 at the time. Todd thought he'd pulled off a smart move by selling off what he believed was a useless piece of equipment. But Parker had other plans. He made it work. That same wash plant became a key part of his gold operation. The success he pulled from that so-called junk was a slap in the face to Todd, who had underestimated Parker from the start. This moment didn't just sting, it widened the gap between them. Parker was rising, Todd was fading. Todd didn't stay quiet either. He accused Parker of being disrespectful, especially toward older workers. In interviews, Todd said it was hard to watch experienced crew members get dismissed by someone so young. He painted Parker as arrogant and careless when it came to people who had been in the business much longer. This wasn't just a work issue, it became a generational conflict. Todd stood for tradition and experience. Parker represented change and results. Their dynamics split the audience. Some backed Todd, believing in loyalty and respect. Others admired Parker's focus and ability to produce results, no matter what. Things didn't stop at words. The tension between their crews exploded more than once. Fights actually broke out on set. Full-on physical confrontations. These weren't staged for drama. They were real. At one point, a simple argument over mining yields escalated into a crew brawl. There were accusations of sabotage, screaming matches. It got so bad, the production team had to step in to keep things from completely falling apart. It wasn't just awkward to watch. It was damaging. Morale dropped. Viewers noticed the growing tension and started to wonder if the show could keep going like this. By 2018, things reached a breaking point. Todd Hoffman left the show. His departure wasn't just about business. His operation had been struggling for a while. Profits were low. Parker, on the other hand, was hitting record numbers season after season. The comparison was impossible to ignore. Todd was constantly being measured against Parker, and that pressure took its toll. In interviews after he left, Todd admitted that the toxic atmosphere played a big role in his decision. He also said that reality TV was affecting his personal life and his mental health. It wasn't worth it anymore. Even though he later returned with a new show, Hoffman Family Gold, his exit from Gold Rush marked the end of one of reality TV's most intense rivalries. Away from the mines, Parker Schnabel had his own story unfolding. In 2016, while in Australia, he met Ashley Yule. She was a veterinary nurse and brought a bright energy that even the rough world of mining couldn't dim. Parker invited her to join him in the Klondike, and their relationship lasted 2 years. She wasn't just in the background. She worked in the gold room. She helped the crew. Parker even said in a 2017 interview with Maxim that Ashley didn't get enough credit for how well that summer went. But even with all the success, their relationship didn't last. In the final episode of Season 8, after pulling in 8,400 ounces of gold, worth over $10 million, Parker admitted something he rarely did. He called the breakup with Ashley one of his biggest failures. He said he didn't make her a priority and that she deserved better. Ashley never spoke publicly about it. She quietly wiped any trace of Parker from her social media and returned to Australia. That silence only made Parker's regret stand out more. A few months later, on August 13, 2018, fans noticed something. Parker posted a photo with Sheena Cowell, a British TV professional. She worked with Knickerbocker Glory TV, a company involved in reality productions. The picture was personal, and people immediately started guessing. Was this his new girlfriend? The timing made it all more suspicious, just months after the breakup with Ashley. But neither of them confirmed anything. Sheena had industry experience, which seemed like a good fit for someone living such an unusual lifestyle. Parker had even told People magazine in 2024 that explaining what he does can sound like he's from some dystopian insane world. Still, rumors cooled off by 2019, when it was reported that Sheena already had a boyfriend. Then came Tyler Mahoney. In 2020, during Season 4 of Gold Rush, Parker's Trail, Parker teamed up with the fourth-generation Aussie gold prospector. They were the same age. Both had deep roots in gold mining. The chemistry between them was immediate. Fans noticed. Social media lit up. Reddit was full of theories. Viewers watched closely during each of the 9 episodes, looking for signs of a budding romance. The show itself didn't shy away from that idea. The editing highlighted their teamwork and shared passion. But if anything happened behind the scenes, it never made it to the screen. Unlike with Ashley, there was no captured kiss, no confirmation, just mutual respect and good TV. Parker later bought a claim in Australia, which made fans wonder if Tyler would remain a key part of his story. As of 2023 and 2024, there's still no official word. The romance rumors haven't gone away, but neither of them has confirmed anything. What's clear is they work well together. Back in 2018, during the filming of Parker's Trail in Papua New Guinea, things got ugly between Parker and his cameraman James Lavelle. At first, they worked well together, but creative tension built fast. On July 12th, things exploded when Lavelle insisted on filming a dangerous river crossing. Parker pushed back, but Lavelle kept rolling. What followed was a shouting match that went on for over 3 hours. Crew members could hear them yelling from over 100 meters away. By the end of it, Parker threatened to leave the entire project. Discovery executives had to step in. Just 3 days later, on July 15th, Lavelle was taken off the shoot. By then, only 60% of the planned footage had been filmed.